Stronger.
Imagine a world without choices.
Stronger.
Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. UIC objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. You see, the sovereignty of every citizen should be protected. Life, liberty and property of everyone should be equal with safety. Free and orderly social market, that a way all can live and earn it. Gonna be stronger together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you.
Welcome to another episode of UIC Liberty TV. I am Chase Neal, Vice President for Cornwall County and Deputy General Secretary, also serving within the role of Shadow Minister for Education and Human Development. All right, good night to all viewers and to those of us who have joined in the chat. I see, is it For the Truth? For the Truth, welcome. Sylvester Lawrence, welcome. Good night to you too. VP Jasmine, I see you in the chat. Welcome. Vote UIC Jamaica. That is right. Welcome. Rasheen Robinson. All right, I see you in the chat. Hopefully you will join me in the studio soon. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And whatever time it is where you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, night, I hope for you that you have a marvelous one. All right, now my topic tonight is politics in Jamaica. And in the discussion, we'll be looking at the UIC model as opposed to the Westminster system. I should have been joined tonight with a guest, but the guest seems to be having some difficulties. So I'll be speaking by myself, reasoning with you. Hopefully, we have some persons who can call in and we have a discussion until and if the guest comes online. All right. Now, the Westminster system, let me start with that. That is the system that we are currently governed under. It was copied from the system that UK has. So I'm going to give a little summary of the Westminster system, how it came to be. I'm not going really in depth, but just an overview. And before I go to that, welcome Vilma Daly and Desmond Mary. All right. Can you hear me, by the way? Am I being heard? All right. Just let me know in the chat if you're hearing me. All right. Someone asked if somebody had talk, so I wasn't sure if I'm being heard. All right. Peter White is welcome. I see your comment there. We need to ramp up our recruitment strategy in order to have a fighting chance in the next general election. UIC all the way, vote UIC. All right, thank you, Peter White, welcome. Now, in ancient days, the king, or sometimes the king ruling jointly with the queen, was in charge of all the branches of government. Now, a long time ago, the branches of government were consisted of four parts. There was the executive that we have nowadays, the legislative, the judiciary, and the ecclesiastical. Now, the executive was concerned about the running of the kingdom, the daily affairs, the policies, the day-to-day operations of the kingdom. Um, just like today, our cabinet is the running of the affairs of the country. The legislative, like now, with creating the laws, and the judiciary would have been about enforcing. Now, the difference is that king or the monarch was known by in ancient was also responsible for ecclesiastic affairs, that's the church or the religion, so that the head of the religion of the state was the king. But over time, the idea of separation of church and state came into play. And so the church was divided from the state. So now the king was not formally in charge of the religious part of social life, but the bishop was now the person in charge. And the bishop was appointed by the king to be in charge of all religious affairs. So down through the centuries and millennia now, the king was solely responsible for managing the day-to-day affairs with his advisors, of course, who would tell him based on their experience or their wisdom what they think he should do. But ultimately, it was a king who would be responsible for the policies and actions. The king also would be in charge of making the laws, the legislative role, and the king solely would be responsible for judging the law and the right and wrong of a situation. There's this old time Bible story that gives an example of this, where two women were arguing about a child in the Bible, a long time story. And they brought the child before King Solomon, and King Solomon made the ruling that they should cut the child in half and share the child. And the mother that stated no, no, no to protect the child's life, he deemed that one to be the real and true mother. No, that is the king trying a case. So that was how it was in ancient days. Over time, people started desiring to be a part of government. They did not want a monarch having absolute power over them. So in Europe, and we're talking particularly about Britain when it was formed, what was done now is that the king took away some of his legislative power to give to the commoners. Now, the commoners were the regular people who were not noble born or royal born. Now, if you didn't have royal or noble blood, you're a commoner, regular people. So, what was the trick? The trick was to create the parliament or the talking shop and create a lower house or the House of Commons, as it's still called in the UK, where the regular people would now be in charge of making laws, and the House of Lords, which are those people who had the royal blood or the noble blood born to richness, now they would vet the law, and if they did not pass the law that the commoners came up with, then the law would not be brought into force, would not be brought into being. And that way, the king would still have power over legislation. So right now in UK, the House of Commons has more power, as you if you may, than the House of Lords, which is the upper house. But that was not always the case, because if the House of Lords, the upper house, said no, this ain't going through, then that law would not have gone through. It's a little different now. So what had happened there is that in order to appease the people and let them feel like them doing something, while still trickily, connivingly, stealthily keeping power for himself, the kings would institute the House of Lords. And throughout the centuries since, that structure has remained. Now, Jamaica was once a slaving port. It was a commerce hub. Our country was not really a country when the Europeans stole it from the Tainos and the other indigenous persons who were living here. It became a commercial hub, and the human beings that they use as property were just seen as business. But with the action of persons who decided that they would not be slaves, such as the Maroons and the escaped slaves, the UK, England got to see, that it was too expensive to maintain the current situation. So over time, we brought in a government and settled into being a country, and then government, almost like England's, came into play here. Now, when we were given our fake independence in 1962, we had no House of Lords because nobody in Jamaica was nobly born. So, what those who crafted our constitution decided to do was to create an upper house with persons appointed by the prime minister and the leader of the opposition. So now, just as the House of Lords in UK would have owed their appointment to the king, the Senate here would owe their appointment to political leaders, the prime minister and the leader of the opposition. So they divided the people in two camps, JLP versus PNP, and ensured that the House of Lords would be divided just as the lower house would be divided. And this is a system of governance that we have inherited and modified to suit us, or to suit them, the persons who wrote the Constitution, to benefit their best interests. And we call the Westminster system. Now, we have spoken about the shortcomings of this system, but we're going to go over it. Um, Now, under the Westminster system, it as I just said earlier, the people are divided into parties. The idea behind this, or the defense that is put forward, is that the parties ensure different ideologies so that the state is not run in as a dictatorship. So, for example, JLP may have one idea as separate from PNP, and and so the people now will not come under one dictatorship to oppress us. That's a false narrative, though, because both systems actually operate off one system. So there's a different name to each, different colors. They call themselves by different names, but there's one system behind both parties, and both parties operate as a social, as part of a system called socialism. So we are under socialist government, whether we vote JLP or PNP. But that is separate and apart from the Westminster system, because any political theory or structure can be applied to the Westminster system. Now, our people are divided, one side against the other. So from there, we are set not to progress, not to achieve where those persons who control the system want us to achieve, because they are not divided, but we are divided. So that's one flaw of the Westminster system. It uses, or it hides behind, the idea that we're preventing an authoritarian or dictatorship from coming into being, but at the same time divides the people. So we're going to look at the UIC model further down and see how we can achieve this without dividing the people into parties. Now, under the Westminster system, there are two houses of parliament. There's the lower house, the House of Representatives, who are the delegates are chosen by the parties, or the candidates rather are chosen by the parties, or that is the party leadership or the delegates the party. Now, the people who these candidates are supposed to represent are not the ones who appoint or select the candidates under this system. It is the party leadership or the persons who are elected as delegates. Not even the regular members in the parties have the say to elect whoever is the candidate going forward. So we see there that it is not really a representation of the people or the people's will. Now, when these candidates go for election, whichever party has the most candidates elected wins. And usually it is the leader of the party who becomes the prime minister, is elected by the governor general to become prime minister. And that person has supreme control over all three branches of government. The prime minister controls the executive, that part of the government that controls the day-to-day operations of the government. And this is all through the Westminster system. It is the prime minister who chooses from his own party those members of parliament who will become cabinet ministers. And I want to just push in an aside here. We should bear in mind that cabinet ministers are paid as both members of parliament, if they're MPs, and cabinet ministers, because the role is different. See that a set of persons are receiving two salaries for carrying out roles that are conflicting, and we look at that as we go along. So the prime minister appoints those MPs who are part of his or her party to be cabinet ministers, who will look after the affairs of the country, who will head certain ministries that are concerned with certain topics and subjects that, that control the public life of the country. Now, the prime minister can appoint and dismiss these persons at will. So what you will find is that the MPs, the legislators, those who were elected to represent the people as part of the parliament, will be on their best behavior because, and when I say best behavior, I mean they will do whatever the prime minister wants, because the prime minister is the one who has the power to appoint them to ministerial positions and to create a lot of ministerial positions that are not even necessary, just so they can get the money, so they can reward them, or the prime minister, whether he or she can reward these persons for carrying out those acts that they probably would not have done if they were doing it in the best interest of the people who elected them. But because of what the system said, they do it. Now, the prime minister also controls the legislative branch of government, that branch of government that is concerned with debating the laws and creating the laws, and also holding the cabinet to account. So the legislative part of government is made up of the MPs, which we described earlier, who are elected after elected by the party delegates or party leadership. They're then elected by the people who go out to vote, and their job is supposed to be to represent the best interests, the concerns, the issues, and the concerns of the people in their constituencies, and to debate laws and policies for the Senate to now vet and debate. And another role of the legislative arm of government is to manage the cabinet, supervise, ensure that they're doing their job. Now, the thing about this though is that it is the same MP body that makes up the cabinet. So we are asking a body of persons to be responsible for holding themselves accountable. So we see where the conflict of interest is there. Now, it is the prime minister, the leader of the majority party, who controls the parliament, because most of the parliament is made up of the winning the winning party, the party that won by a majority. And he then appoints from this same body the persons who will be the cabinet, the persons who must be accountable to this body. Now, another part of the legislative is the Senate. Now, the Senate is the upper house that vets the laws passed by the lower house, that's the House of Representatives, so that the laws that are made by our legislators are given thorough attention, so that they are, well, that's the idea that is proposed, are given thorough analysis, thorough attention, so that what comes out is for the best interest of the people. That is the idea that is put forward. Though the Prime Minister nominates the majority. There are 20 senators. The Prime Minister nominates 13. The leader of the opposition nominates 8. So the Prime Minister from the majority of the Senate, the body that reviews the laws that is passed by the representatives. So we see in the both houses of the parliament, the Prime Minister controls the majority. In the judiciary now, that body that enforces the laws, we're talking about the different levels of the court system in Jamaica, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, the parish courts, and even the petty other courts under that. The person in charge of the court system is the Chief Justice, who is appointed by the Prime Minister or nominated by the Prime Minister and then appointed by the Governor General. So we see that this person also owes their appointment to the Prime Minister. Now, the person who is supposed to hold the Prime Minister to account is the head of state. Now, in the Jamaican Constitution and in fact, in all the Commonwealth countries who have the Westminster system, it is the Prime Minister who nominates the Governor General to the monarch. So the Prime Minister chooses the person to hold him or her accountable. So we see this system is set up for corruption. This system is set up for one person to have all the power, to call all the shots, and those who are associated with that person to fall in line in order to keep their positions. It is because of this system why we have the garrisons, where prime ministers before would have set up garrisons and given dons guns to keep areas under control so that they could be assured votes in the next election. And so we see the crime spiraling from these places to where it is today. It is this sort of arrangement that ensures that a law that the people are not in favor of, looking at units, is passed, because we remember that when NIDS was first discussed, the Jamaican people did not want NIDS. There was an outcry against it. The Supreme Court ruled against it. And the Prime Minister just wheel and come again. And because he has the majority support in both houses of the legislature, it passed through. And because he is the one who controls the Governor General, it had to pass. This system sets us up to not be progressive. Now, before I go any further in the Westminster system and then discuss the UIC's model, let me check the comment section before I go forward. I see Samuels. Welcome Douglas Allen, Felix James, Roshane Robinson. You are supposed to receive a link. You click that link and you join me in studio, Roshane. All right. Let's see. Leighton Samuels. I hope I'm pronouncing this properly. Night, can you answer the comments? All right. When I see, welcome Maurice. Good evening to you too. Mr. Samuel is asking, is UIC for the people and the country? All right. All right. Let me I hope what I'm going to say now will answer your question, Sir Samuels. Leroy Mullings, anywhere in the world you go, people are divided to a party. Not anywhere, Leroy Mullings. There are actually a few countries in the world that don't operate off a partisan system. But what we will propose is a system that is better than that. We don't have to follow them. Bear in mind that of the 200 and odd countries in the world, I think there are just 20 that have not been invaded or controlled by Britain at some point in history. So you will find that most countries in the world have some variation of this corrupt system that was copied from the United Kingdom. Because really, when they control a country, they bring their method of governance. Now, is UIC for the Jamaican people? All right, let me just state the vision of the UIC for you, Sir Samuels. And the vision of the UIC is a Jamaica that brings out the best in all of us. Now, that vision by itself will tell you that if we want a Jamaica that brings out the best in all of us, then UIC is for Jamaica and Jamaicans. And our mission is to create the non-partisan constitutional Republic of Jamaica that protects our right to our, well, protects our individual sovereignty and encourage personal responsibility, ensures personal responsibility. And when we say we protect your individual sovereignty, we're talking about your right to your life, your right to your property, and your right to your liberty. So no one should be controlling your life, your property, or your liberty, but you. Now, the non-partisan will speak to our system not being the functional republic is one that the constitution, the highest law, determines the law and not the whims of men. So not anything can go on because there's a law that already assures our rights and controls the processes so that nobody is defrauded by the system. There's no force and no fraud. None of that is encouraged. Now, as I go to discuss the UIC's model, I want to make something clear. I am not sure. I'm not sure that we all understand the purpose of the UIC and what the UIC is. I see many times too people asking, what will the UIC do? No, the UIC really is nothing without the people being a part of it. The UIC is a vehicle for us as Jamaicans to get involved in the processes that run our country. It is a tool, it's a vehicle, it's a platform. So unless you engage with the UIC, then the UIC quite likely can do nothing for you. Let me use an analogy. Now, let's say that the political parties in Jamaica right now are police forces. So we have the JLP police force and the PNP police force. Now, each of them fail to protect us. Each of them fail to ensure good order. So let us say these are elected police forces. So when one police force now go on good, we just say, all right, we're done with it and we just go for the other one. Keep our country safe. Now go on good. Cool? Now here comes a third police force that has the policies that will ensure that crime is controlled and the people, the citizens, are prosperous. But unless people sign up to become police officers, until people sign up to the force and engage the force, then the force remains just a few people and the policies in a little place. No, this is a platform for everybody to sign up on and get the work done because The tools are here. So the UIC, you can see it now as the better, as the police force will have the better tools and resources. But unless people are there to use the tools and resources, unless people buy into it, with it has the better tools, better resources, better pay. But if the people don't know that this force has the better tools and resources and pay, and because they don't know, or them skeptic because of the performance of the two forces, then if they don't sign on to the force, then the force can't be as effective as it is supposed to be. All right, let me use another analogy. The UIC is a school, and the other two parties say university. So there are two universities and another one for me. Now, the first two universities were not delivering a curriculum that would ensure that the Jamaican people would be equipped to be top world class citizens, to engage with the world meaningfully and become their best selves. Because that's the purpose of school, right? Now, along comes this new university, right, with a better curriculum. But if you don't go to the university, you will not benefit from the university. If teachers do not sign on to teach, then the curriculum will not be delivered and they won't benefit from it. Cool? So the UIC has a particular vision and mission, objectives. It has policies in place, but we need you, the Jamaican people. This platform was created for you, for us to come on board and get involved. If you are not involved, then the system cannot activate for you. I hope this makes sense. Cool? Yes, Sir Allen, we do reject the needs. So Douglas Allen says reject the needs, like how only reject the bad joke. We have been speaking against that for a long time. It is written into legislation already though, so that was passed. But we reject anything that is force or fraud, anything that is invasive in your life, in your property. Yourself is your property. Anything that forces on you or is invasive, we reject it as the UIC. So the UIC is that platform for us to get engaged. This platform is registered as a political party because it's the only way we can field many candidates to political office. You can go into Jamaican politics based on how the laws are written, either as an independent person or as a member of a party. Now, the only way the UIC would have been able to field a lot of persons is to um, register as a party. So that's why we are a party, but we are actually non-partisan. But we have to be a party in light of the current laws and regulations. So if we look at UIC primarily for what it tends to be, it intends to be a way for us to get involved, to bring about a better Jamaica for all of us. Also, the UIC is a governance system, and we'll get into that now. In spite of our 10-point plan, in spite of our crime epidemic response, which speaks to how we plan to tackle crime, in spite of our education plan, the fact is UIC is a governance system that will ensure progress in these areas outside of the plans and policies that we have. So the UIC system, how is it different from the Westminster system? All right, so we start with the election of candidates. No, the UIC system is this. First of all, nobody will enter into politics through a partisan method. So there will be no consideration of whether you're a JLP, whether you're a PNP, or whether you're even UIC under UIC government. None of that is important. None of that will be asked. The party system will gradually fade out because it won't be important. And so we find that this division through party beliefs will fade away and the people will become more united. Now, no one will be chosen by any party leadership either, or any party delegates. How it works is that people will apply for political office. Well, people who desire to be um, um, persons who serve in the political office, they'll apply for it. Now, when they apply, they must be able to show that they have some sort of experience or knowledge about governance. So they must pass the governance test, basic governance test, to show that, all right, you know what you're doing or you have the right idea. No, that doesn't exist in the current system. You don't need any qualifications to be a politician in Jamaica, or in fact, under the Westminster system. So you must apply and you must pass the test. Now, when you have passed the test, if you want to become a political representative of the people, then you will be vetted and audited by independent auditors to look at your background, because we must ensure that anybody who's coming into the system is somebody who's trustworthy. Now, anyone who would have passed the test, that basic governance test to show whether they understand economics and management, communication, and all of that, they have passed that. They have attended an interview and shown that they are worthy candidates, and they have been audited and then come out clean. No, that is when they can be nominated by 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 persons in the constituency. And once they're nominated, they can be provided for publicly um, to campaign. No, that's another big difference between the current model that we run under and the UIC's model. Now, what obtains currently, what goes on now, is that the private sector, the remnants of the plantocracy, they they are the ones who fund the parties. So the parties are privately funded, and sometimes it comes down to who has the most money. Well, most times they contribute equally, but depends on how the parties um, distribute that cash throughout Jamaica. Sometimes it comes down to who has more money to spend to win the election. Now, when you have a poor man, in the case of an independent, for example, running against somebody who's funded by big business, then that creates an inequality, and somebody who might have been better for the country gets cast out of the way because they don't have enough funding. Now, the UIC wants to eliminate all of that. We want to eliminate private business control over parties and therefore control over government by making the campaigns equally funded by the state. So you pass your test, your governance test, you pass the auditing, then you're nominated, then your campaign will be funded by the state. Everybody gets equal access to radio, TV, social media, and nobody can seek private money or gifts because it becomes illegal. So we end up with everybody on a level playing field. Whether you're rich or you're poor, the same rules apply coming in. So nobody has any any advantage over anybody there. And we get to elect our representatives. So no, you may hear me talking about the PSOJ funding parties. I have nothing against the PSOJ. UIC has nothing against private business. What our problem is the private funding of parties and the subsequent control that they have over party leadership, and therefore the control they have over government policy that works in their interest and not in the interest of Jamaicans, and the control that they have to fund persons and so cut out the common man who running as an independent. So there's the inequality in the system. That is the problem we have. All right, so we see that clear difference with the UIC model in how persons come into political office in the first place. You have to apply, be interviewed, pass a governance test. You have to be audited and checked out publicly, so that people get the results of it, then you must secure your nominations, whether it's 10 or how many nominations, and then you can be elected by the people after being supplied by funding from the state for everybody equally, who would have passed through the process, so that nobody is above anybody. Everybody gets equal access. Everybody gets the public to know about what they bring to the table. If you notice, this has no mention at all of parties. It's really about the person, what the person brings, the experience, their skills, their qualification, what it is about them that makes them fitting for the role. So this way, Jamaicans would be better equipped to vote, because really, when we vote now for the persons who we put in place to become MPs, what we know about them, we know nothing about them when they present themselves. All right. Yeah. So we move on now to the governance system, or how it is structured, and the accountability. Now, under the UIC system, we just spoke to how the legislate the legislators are elected. That is the members of parliament. Now, currently, the Senate, as we said before, is appointed. The Constitution says nominated, and the Governor General then appoints. But really, the Governor General does what the Prime Minister and Leader of Opposition says. So it's really the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition who appoints the senators, basically. And this makes them really beholden to the persons who appointed them. They must serve the interests of the party or the party leader. Now, if we are going to appoint senators, we need senators who represent the people. So what we bring to the table is this: senators must be elected, one per parish. So the senators are elected by the people in the parish that they come from. So we end up with 14 senators. And these senators now are owe their loyalty not to a party or a party leader, but to the people who elected them. So now we have people in parliament and people in the Senate who don't have the burden now to think about what the party wants, but each of them is independent. That's the independence part of the United Independence Congress name. Each of them is independent of party, and they now work for the people in their constituencies, for the MPs, and in their parishes for the senators who would have elected them there. So that party consideration is out of it, and the corruption cut to, because no, you don't have to do favors for a party to get through. And the senators also would have gone through the same system of applying, being vetted, being audited, and so forth. All right, you hear me, Naika? Let me know in the private chat, please. All right, great. No, the senators would now ensure that what we be calling them now is community representatives. What we call MP now, the community representatives. The senators would these persons to account as it relates to their in the constituencies, ensuring that they bring the issues facing the people to the Congress. Instead of the parliament, we have a Congress now. So that we have checks and balances down to that level, because there are persons in place who ensure that you're doing your work on the ground. And now we move to, so that's the legislative part of government. Now, the part that controls the day-to-day affairs of the country. Now, this is how we do it. There will be no senator or MP being appointed as government ministers. Why? You cannot have that body that is supposed to ensure that the cabinet or the executive does its job being a part of the same body. How are you going to appoint a man to look after himself, to ensure that he carries out his job for the public properly? You must, you as a human being, you want to cover for yourself. No, we're not going to allow anybody to mess up and then um, cover, cover for themselves. So what we're going to have is government ministers who are subject matter experts, people who are qualified and experienced in their subject, in their particular subject. Now, for example, you cannot have somebody responsible for the Ministry of Health who has never ever worked in health. How is it then that you are going to be responsible for that ministry to the best extent? You must be experienced and an expert in the particular area in order to be appointed under the UIC system, and this will ensure efficiency in our government. Now, how will that work? Now, the president, no longer a prime minister, sorry, a president who is elected nationally, by the way, will, together with the VPs, nominate persons who are subject matter experts to become cabinet ministers. Now, these persons who are nominated will then be vetted by the Senate publicly. So the people will realize who these persons are. They will see who have been nominated to sit in the ministries and to chair the ministries. And those persons who would have passed the vetting process based on the results from the vetting of the Senate would now be elected by the the community representatives, who we call the MPs now. So the lower house will now elect these persons to become ministers of government. So from the outset, we set the tone that the Congress is responsible for not only appointing and electing the ministers, but supervising them in their work. So we now have a true separation of powers and more accountability in the system, because now the MPs and senators cannot touch the government money, and now they will ensure that these cabinet ministers do not touch the government money in a fraudulent way, because now they are solely responsible for giving account of these people's performance, and they are not involved in the process themselves. Now, I'd spoken about a nationally elected president. Now, under the current system, we vote for MPs for the party that is our favorite, and the leader of the party becomes prime minister. Now, what that facilitates is people voting for ineffective MPs just because they want the party to win, and the particular party leader. Now, under this system where we vote for the president separately, the MPs or the community representatives will now have to do the work if they want to be elected, because their election has nothing to do with the election of the national president. Now, the national president, who is elected by the people, owes a mandate to the people. And this person now is separate from the legislative. So he's not an MP. This president's job is now to manage the executive. Now, in addition to that, we have three vice presidents. That's what we propose, who are elected per county. So we have a vice president for Cornwall, one for Middlesex, and one for Surrey, who are elected by the people in these counties. Now, the vice presidents hold the president to account. So now there are checks and balances in the system. So no president can come with a policy that 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 is really not in the best interest of the people, because the VPs must weigh in on it. So what we the power of the president to come in with policies that are against the best interest of the people is cut, because the VPs now, who are independent and have no party affiliation but are elected by the people per county, will now have to agree with what the president says, together with the Treasury Secretary and the General Secretary. And then the Senate now will have to weigh in on that. So you see there are levels there, to ensure accountability and best practice. The judiciary will be appointed in the same way as the ministers of government, the persons who have the experience, the qualifications, subject matter experts in law, would be nominated by the national executive, then vetted by the Senate to ensure that these are the best persons going forward, and then the MPs would elect the judges to sit in the judiciary. So we see there's a clear separation of powers and less chance to get away with filthiness, because everybody has somebody at different levels, sometimes one level, two levels, and so forth, ensuring that this person is doing their job, his or her job. Before I go any further, let me go to the chat. The issue, Russian Robinson says, the issue of the percentage of Jamaicans who have access to the internet penetration. Oh, this is coming from Sean Campbell's question. Who in the chat knows what percentage of the Jamaican people have access? Why do you ask that, Sean Campbell? I wouldn't have the answer to that. But why do you ask that question? All right. No, Andrew asked a question here. Explain the no party affiliation. The UIC is not an affiliation. All right. So the UIC is the only party that is built not to last once its objectives are met. Because what we want to do, well, what we are really is a governance model. So we are arranged and structured in the same way that we would be structured once UIC is elected to government. So we're a platform for the people to get involved in policies and running the government, so that you can get in politics and represent your people. And we are also the governance structure. Now, once UIC is elected to government, what we will be doing is implement structures. That once UIC reads into government, then the government becomes the UIC structure. At that point, there's no point for UIC anymore, because no UIC will not exist, because, as we said, we are non-partisan and the party system will fade out. So with the party system being faded out, there's no UIC. The affiliation that UIC has is to the people. As I said before, if you think of UIC primarily as a third party, then you miss the point of the UIC. The UIC, the UIC is made up of persons who agree with the UIC's vision, mission, chief objective, and philosophy. And you know, the philosophy, it is a right of everyone to be free. Now, those persons who have listened to or met upon our policies, our mission, our vision, philosophy, and so forth, and decide that they want to be independent candidates who run under this banner. This is what the UIC is. And the supporters and the members, this is what the UIC is. Now, the affiliation that we have is primarily to Jamaica, because we want to see a better Jamaica, a Jamaica that is not corrupt as it is, that the leadership of Jamaica facilitates the crime and the corruption, um, things go on in parliament, the people talk about after a while, they fade out, because what can the people do? We can't do anything until the next election. Now, under UIC system of governance, if you're not performing, then you can be impeached. So the people can write a petition to the Chief Justice for the president to be impeached, for a senator to be impeached. And what will happen once the Chief Justice then receives that petition is that that person is called to court. And based on the results, based on the verdict, then the people vote in a referendum whether to keep or release this person from office. No, that does not occur. This does not obtain in the current system. So really what we are is a method of governance, and our affiliation is to the policies that will make Jamaica progress, to make accountability and transparency a thing in government. So that is our affiliation. Unfortunately, we have to be a party because, as I said, we're non-partisan. That's what we say. But we have to be a party in order to field candidates all over Jamaica. And with that being said, I implore you all, if it is that you have heard what the UIC put forward and you would like to be a candidate, go on our website, uicjamaica.com, click the link, join the UIC, sign up as a candidate, whether an MP candidate or councillor candidate, and let us work together to get this done. For those persons who might not want to represent, but would like to support, you can sign up as a volunteer and work with UIC in different areas to get this word across Jamaica, because we know that we don't get the media coverage. So with what we are doing now, the social media, you as a volunteer can share it. You as a member can share it to your contacts so that people get the word. Where the media will not carry us, we will carry us. We can talk face to face with the Jamaican people so that they know about the UIC. Those who don't know get to know. And this is really the people's party. We go so far only as the people get involved. If the people don't get involved in the UIC, UIC not going anywhere. The UIC is not separate and apart from us. All right, Douglas Allen, I like that you mentioned that Jamaica has some of the worst prison conditions in the world, as one of the world's worst court systems in terms of efficiency. Um, we should, I think I should mention that part of the our legal system is that prisons will be fitted for rehabilitation and not necessarily punishment. We see this working in the Finland system, for example, where they have 100% almost rehabilitation, so that persons who go to jail now, who go to prison, are worked on, are accommodated, given humane treatment, so that we find the source of what went wrong. Because for somebody, for example, to get up and kill indiscriminately, something wrong with them. So what we try to do, or will try to do on the UIC system, is to reform these persons to correct the imbalance or whatever went wrong in them, in their brains, while allowing them to work and provide for themselves. So it's not a case where you go to jail and taxpayer money take care of you. So there will be an economy in jail facility by them working and paying for the crime. So they will provide, they will compensate for to their victims whatever they did monetarily while them working and they're being worked on. And we bring humane treatment to prison because these are human beings too. Now, for prison systems that focus on prison being punishment, we find that although it is human and natural for us to want revenge, you want people to be punished for the horrible crimes that they commit, if we approach the prison system from that point of view, nobody gets reformed. But for those systems where the view is healing and rehabilitation, then we are more likely to have prisoners leave reformed and changed, and then they are responsible for compensating their victims for what they would have done. All right, Jasmine Powell says the UIC model is very much in line with what Marcus Garvey wanted for the people and what the creator designed for us. Support the UIC and save Jamaica. Yes, I want to add to what Jasmine says. To support the UIC. No, we do not get funding from the big money companies. We are not funded like the other two major parties are. So we don't have the resources currently to go out and talk to the people and be seen as the two parties currently do. In addition, we are under media blockade. We are not carried much on the regular media. However, if each of us on this live share UIC material with our contacts, with our family, with our friends, associates, co-workers, neighbors, then we will find that UIC is on the lips and in the hearts of every Jamaican, here and overseas. This is how we beat the system that is trying to hide us from the knowledge of the UIC. So if we don't support the UIC, then we will not save Jamaica. And the UIC is us. UIC is a platform for us. And if the UIC should win, it is Jamaica that wins. So, and if the UIC should lose the election, God forbid, it is the people of Jamaica who lose. It is not Chase Neal who has put up himself for running for St. Mary Western. If 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 I am not successful in my constituency for the people and win the election, then I can always fly out like anybody else because I'm not doing this for me. In fact, if somebody else from my constituency wants to take the platform and this is the person who I see is better suited for the people, then I step down. UIC, I say, because the policies of UIC must reach government for the people of Jamaicans to benefit. Now, if us the members do not win election with the people's with the people's assistance, with the people's support, then it is the people that lose. So we will look forward to more years of corruption, more years of mismanagement of resources, more years of funding of crime from the top parts of government down to the lowest part of the citizenry. Now, when we ensure there's accountability at the top, then the persons down below the hierarchy will realize that if those at the top cannot get away with crime and corruption, then they themselves cannot get away with crime and corruption. All right. Now, if UIC can get 20 candidates to run in an election, that is the opinion of somebody here, then that should be a concern to you, Big Jaman. All right, all right. Let us look at it now. Let us look at the facts, right? The current system, as I outlined to you now, has no checks and balances. The people at the top can do whatever they want, pay whatever criminal gang they want to carry out their nefarious deeds and plans for the people. Look at the statistics. Jamaica loses close to 1 billion US every year. Last year it was 800 and something US dollars. You can Google the facts and see it. And this is money lost to political corruption, specifically. The year before it was 700 million US figures we're talking about, to political corruption. Um, it goes closer to 1 billion year by year, sometimes a little less. No, this is due to the system, the way it is structured. JLP, PNP, same thing. Same structure, funded by the same people, carrying out the same criminal enterprises. Now, is this what we want for Jamaica? Do we want to continue like this? We leave Jamaica, our relatives leave Jamaica to go to other countries to have a better life. We ever hear of an American leaving United States to have a better life somewhere? We who have so many resources that are being reaped by the same Americans, by the Russians, by the Chinese, and other countries. And we are not benefiting from it. Is it that we want this to continue? No, if it is that you as a Jamaican realize that there's a platform that you can get involved in, that you don't sit down and wait for a party that was created by the UK, yeah, to keep us divided. Because before they left us, they ensured that we were divided through the JLP and PNP. They destroyed Marcus Garvey party, and they backed two parties to keep the people divided and keep us under. Same thing they do across the Caribbean. And then they backed out, and we are under a constitution that ensures that people at the top can continue doing what they want while we continue to suffer. Now, if there is a system that comes in place now that we can come on board and change around that reality, a system where we have a governance model now that ensures that the foolishness we're going now can continue right now, where our families will benefit, where, for a case in point, look at this now. The UIC proposes two taxes: the income tax, which is 10% of your pay, and the sales tax slash GCT, 10%. Now, this sales tax, the GCT, is reserved only for emergencies, beautifying the country, and eliminating poverty. So if we take, for example, 70% of every single money that we collect from GCT to ensure that everybody in Jamaica has proper nutrition, proper education, proper housing, proper health care, people that eat good. People don't have to wonder about where they're going to sleep tonight because every family is a homeowner. Cool? Healthcare, we have the best healthcare for those persons who cannot take care of themselves, and education. After a while, poverty is phased out. That's a plan to eradicate poverty. Now, if you know this, cool, and you realize that this platform, or you think, or theorize, or you suppose that this platform where you can get involved into can create a better life for you and your people so you don't have to fly out, and you theorize that this platform might not have enough candidates to win election, then the correct reaction, well, it depends on what you want for yourself and for Jamaica and for your people. But I would assume that the most appropriate reaction would be to be concerned and to get people now to say, come in, make we get involved in this. You have the skills and the abilities. Come in on this and represent we, so we win this for Jamaica. I think that this would have been the appropriate response. And this makes me wonder now, what do we want for ourselves as Jamaicans? And so I asked the person who made a comment, what do you want from Jamaica? What do you want for yourself as a Jamaican? All right, Jasmine Powell, VP Powell is making a comment here. The UIC is in no way or form a part of the corruption and problems Jamaica faces at this time. All right. Well, we know that the problems were created by those who or people have elected over the years, um, and they have dropped the ball. Yes, we're grassroots, and we don't have the funding right now, or sufficient funding right now. But guess what? If we can get all the Jamaicans who can afford it and all the members in the diaspora to donate, whether it's $10, $20, $25 to the People's Party. If we can build this ourselves, and as some of us are doing, if we can support it financially and build this from the bottom up, then what we will realize is that we'll match and even pass the funding that the slave masters who fund the current parties are doing. So because the power really is in the people. If we look at the massive churches, for example, that poor people have built with our poor people money, if we look at the extravagant entertainment events, big sound clashes, the big parties that we fund with our parties, some of these platforms have international audiences, and it's poor people money funded. In the same way, if we are serious, if we are serious about doing the things to make Jamaica safe and secure for all of us, then we, the people, can fund it, and fund it more than the rich people too, because there are more of us than them. Can you imagine all our way $100 or $500, whatever we can afford, $1,000 added up together? Can you imagine every Jamaican of working age who can manage it and who have relatives overseas coming together, not only spreading the word, but involving themselves in the representation for the people and giving what they can give? Then you will see us out there, because, and when I say us, I mean us all out there, taking the governance, taking the bull by its horns, and making Jamaica the place where we can be proud of and say, yes, we can live on my yard and live with dignity and don't have to wonder where my next meal come from. And now Jamaica can become the envy of the world, the pearl of the world. Now, this is the UIC. This is the UIC way. Now, I don't know who would have fight against that, because the fight against the UIC, is a fight against we. And when I say we, I don't mean we, the members of the UIC, mean we as a people. Because if you fight against the UIC, who are you fighting for? And who you're fighting for, does who you're fighting for have the best interests of the country at heart? We're talking about the institutions now, not the people. Do these institutions have the best interest for Jamaica at heart? Does the current situation surrounding us suggest that? Now, I say to us that we look at the UIC model, where checks and balances are ensured at every level, where accountability is ensured so the people's money don't go to waste. Let us look at the policies that we put forward. For example, in our education plan, where we ensure a curriculum where the people, students leave school understanding their self, understanding human behavior, understanding money. 3 dimensions. Apart from the main subjects of communication, of math, science, and civics, we also learn to understand ourselves, our emotional selves, our mental selves, our physical self, what goes into making a whole, healthy body, mind, personality, understanding human behavior, and understanding money so that our people will be empowered to let money work for them instead of working for money and slaving themselves out, so that we become a people who are the pearls of the world. Now, this is the UIC system that is here for you to get involved in. And for those of us who want to see this vision of Jamaica, I say, share the word, get involved, link us at our website, uicjamaica.com. Tune into UIC Liberty TV, check out the lives, um, get involved, share the word, and let us win this for Jamaica. So let me see. We need the UIC. Sean Campbell says we need the UIC, but the message has to get out. The UIC has the answers that Jamaica needs. However, the UIC isn't doing a good job informing the public that we can fix this broken country. All right, as I said, the UIC, the UIC currently is made up of a few volunteers, and each of whom is trying their best to handle life, because nobody gets paid for this. We have one paid person, by the way, the administrator. Everybody else volunteers totally. Everybody else in UIC is a volunteer. Only the administrator gets paid. And, and so each of us has to manage this because we want to see a better for Jamaica while we manage our life um, issues and concerns and so forth. Now, with more of us on board, we're able to do this. Bear in mind that the media will not carry us. So it's easy to hear about JLP and PNP. Even NDM, which is no longer um, um, in the running for election because it's not registered, we hear on the air. We'll hear other parties on the air that cannot contest elections, but UIC, which can contest elections, we don't hear that. So many people don't know. So what we're left with is face-to-face networking on the ground, but how far will that go? It will go far with all of us getting involved. We share social media, we use social media to share, but unless each of us does the job, then we will not get the job done. As simple as that. So when we say the UIC needs to, what are we really saying? Are we saying the 7 persons who are elected as the executive, um, are the 7 exec members supposed to be in all the parishes all the time doing the public work? It's impossible for us to do that and manage our family and career. We'll do what we can, but unless we the people get involved, all of us. So I'm calling on everybody who want to see a better Jamaica, get involved. Let us do this. Let us, all of us, win. Let us win for we and our future. This has been Chase Neal, the Vice President for Cornwall County, Deputy General Secretary of the UIC. I ask that you leave a rating so that we see how we did tonight out of 10. 10 for the highest, 1 for the lowest. How much do you give us out of 10? All right, so everybody, walk good, take care of yourself, and remember to like, share, comment, donate, and let us, we do all that we can to ensure that Jamaica wins, that Jamaica becomes the best for all of us. Take care. One Jamaica, stronger together.